And we're back for part 4. Today I got all the AC lines routed, and we're just gonna do an update on where we're at with the system. So close, but yet so far. Alright, I got the center vent here, and I'll show you guys how I'm gonna modify this to fit the Gen 2 mini unit. So first of all, cleaned up this guy and refoamed all the original outlets. This guy's kind of special. So I found a plumbing Y. These are 1.5, but the OD is actually 2.5, which will fit the front facing vent hoses. And so I cut them off right there, and then I cut out a figure 8 in this piece of sheet metal and just bent the sheet metal over my leg to create this shape. I put foam around the edges of this guy, and then 3 screws, 3/16 holes through the sheet metal, and then 1/8 holes through the plastic vent itself. So why are they offset like that? It's because there's some places where there's no lip to put a screw through. So those 3 locations, and it looks like the foam has compressed enough that we should be okay. So after some more discussion, it looks like I'm going to have to block off 1 defrost vent and 1 forward facing vent on the Gen 2 mini unit. So 2 hoses will go into the forward facing vents, and then 1 single hose up into the car defrost. And the reason for that is just like packaging is just way too tight up there. Ideally I'd want a manifold to cover all the vents, so it's just 2 outlets, but we're gonna have to save that for version 2.0 or something. But yeah, I had a discussion with the team, and they say it should be alright because we're just increasing air velocity. Although we lose some air volume, we're increasing air velocity, so this should be okay for now, just to get the system working. But yeah, I think this Y is going to be the secret to get all the vents in the car to work. Alright, I thought I was going to be able to permanently install this guy in there, but I ran into some issues. It's going to be tough to see, but there's actually an air leak right there. So what that tells me is that I gotta use the extra thick foam in the middle sections and then just leave the light gray foam on the ends. Yeah, you guys can see real estate is getting tight down here. Alright, third time. This thing's pretty frustrating. I'm not sure how well the OEM one even sealed. The top part I noticed on the chassis side is really skinny, like not even close to this size. And then so I added 1 more layer of foam on top, and that's gonna be this stuff, because that gap gets so big when this thing's bolted up. So let's bolt it up and try it one more time. Alright, doubling up on that air seal tape, looks like it did the trick. You can see how it's bowed out right here. I don't know if that's from the age of the plastic or the heat or what, but yeah. And then I had to run a longer screw on both of these guys, but so far so good. Alright, looks like we're pretty close to just finalizing the mounting of the Gen 2 mini unit. This is just the factory bracket or strap that comes with the unit, and you can see I just bent it this way and attached it to one of the existing mounting holes. Again, I want to drill or modify this chassis as little as possible. This piece right here that comes on the mini unit, I actually flipped the other way to face forward, and then I had to slot the holes to fit. When I take this back out, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. This bracket is off of the universal condenser mount bracket. I just cut the bottom part off, and if you can see, there's actually a 20 mil spacer right here, and this is just like a 70 mil M6 bolt. And the reason I had to space this 20 mil back is I mounted up the glove box so the glove box can still fit in front of this guy. So what I was doing here, this unit has to be level, so check it out. Level this way, side to side, and then also front and back, because Vintage Air says you want to make sure the drain hose can drain properly so water doesn't get stuck inside this guy. So we'll do front to back. And then, yeah. So I got it level side to side and front to back. And then I used one more mounting back there, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So this guy's mounted at 3 points in the chassis, so pretty stable. So before I go over to the other side, if you guys can see back there, there's a long bolt. I forgot the exact measurement, but there's a long bolt coming from the chassis side, or the engine bay side, that I used as a mounting stud for that back bracket. So we'll take a look at where that bolt goes, and we'll take a look at what that bracket looks like. So there's a bolt for the brake line bracket right there, and so I basically replaced that 10 mil bolt with that long bolt, and I'll show you under the dash what it looks like. It's not that easy to see, but there's what's the back bracket looks like. When I take the unit back out, I'll show you. It's a big L bracket that also supports the bottom of this guy, and I should actually be using a thicker gauge steel in the production unit just to provide more support for that bottom part, supports the bottom of this guy, and then also so that thing flexes less. 2 nuts on each side, and then again that long bolt acts like a mounting stud for that back bracket. Alright, so we're getting ready to mount the AC drain hose. The AC drain hose is right here, and the Corolla already has a factory provision for it, so you don't need to drill a hole. I took out the factory grommet. Where the slit is about 24 mil OD. We're gonna use the Vintage Air grommet, and the OD of that slit is about 25, but that should work all right. One thing though is that this thing, the fit's not so snug, so when I do final install, I might put some sealer or RTV or something on this guy to prevent engine bay water leaks into the cabin. So Vintage Air says minimum 1-inch drop, and also be sure to route the drain hose such that the water drips directly onto the ground. So ideally they want you to point the same way, but this guy actually doesn't rotate, so we'll just take a turn right there, and yeah, this should be about 1 inch to route the drain hose down there. So yeah, let's do it. Alright, so I got my grommet in there, and then the hose routed. One concern, I wish this hose was a stronger material, because even like a little kink like this will actually block the water flow. I know Vintage Air wants you to point the hose directly that way, but I don't see how that's possible with the compact unit unless you mounted the whole unit like 90 degrees the other way. So I don't know how you're gonna do that, but so yeah, we'll just have to watch out for this hose, or else I might find like a 5/8 piece of nylon tubing that's ribbed that's stronger than this stuff. Alright, so we have our receiver dryer mounted with the trinary switch. I have these three tapped for M6, and it's a straight piece of bar going all the way down to bridge the 2 points, the radiator support and then the frame on bottom. I'll be able to make a line pretty soon, so this will go into the bottom port of the condenser. This is the OEM Vintage Air bracket for this guy. It's just bent and angled this way, and I reused a OEM mounting point. So pretty soon we'll be able to plumb in the heater. The plan is these are the two heater core lines, so we'll go 180 out this way and then 290s into where the OEM heater lines exit. Alright, so we're going to show the AC lines inside the cabin first. And so I only used what was in the AC kit. In the production version, I'd actually like this one to be a 135 degree to bend up a little higher. I made sure when I routed the hoses, gave all of them slacks. They're not like pulling on any of the fittings. Let's see. This hose right here was probably the hardest. This one goes all the way up to here, and I reused the stock 2 holes for the AC lines, and then both of these are Vintage Air grommets. And then we have some heater hoses. Some hoses to route the heater on the way, and the plan for the heater control valve is to go behind everybody. Yeah. I also changed out the AC drain hose. This is like a braided nylon, so this guy won't kink, and same thing, it routes through the OEM drain hose position. So again, both of these lines go out through the factory AC line holes, and then both of those are Vintage Air grommets. So the smaller line goes this way underneath through the factory hole for the AC line. We have the receiver dryer. Made this bracket for the receiver dryer. It's go over from the receiver dryer, it goes into our condenser, and then out this 90 degree back up into the factory AC hole, back out to the engine bay for the high side line on the compressor. So the low side line on the compressor goes all the way back to the evaporator. I decided against going through into the factory AC holes just because this is a number 10, so this is the biggest AC line, and it just barely squeezes past the hole for the AC lines right here. So instead, we're going to go in the engine bay under the radiator. And you can see the line comes out right here, and then back up into the engine bay, or back into the cabin. So my AC bracket's still getting drawn up. in the meantime, there's still a lot more work to do, so why don't we go check out the bench. Alright, so that condenser is going to have to come back out, and I'm going to put air sealing foam on the back of that guy in between the radiator. There's a couple items that need to get painted since a lot of stuff can be final installed. This RPM switch, we'll talk about that in a second. I can start routing the air ducting inside the car. Gotta wire it up. Heater lines are on order, but we gotta plumb the lines in the valve. And then I gotta figure out some line protectors to protect the lines where they go through the factory AC holes. Cool, so here's the wiring on the table. It's actually not as complicated as you would think. So this crimp tool ended up being great. There was plenty of times where I did not want to take the line back out of the engine bay, and I could just make the crimps inside the engine bay. Okay, so one thing important about these lines, there's actually not a lot of twist. These AC lines, this barrier hose is actually really rigid. So what you need to actually watch out for is how you clock these fittings. And so one thing I had to research that wasn't so clear in that manual for the hydraulic crimper was that you actually line up the crimp before this side hole. And the purpose of this side hole is so that you can leave a paint mark so that the orientation of how these are clocked always stays in the same place while you're crimping this guy down. So remember, the crimp is before this side hole.
So the issue with the compressor that we bought was that it has a maximum range of to 6,000, and if you go anywhere past that, it might blow. So that's a slight issue that might come up. So then one solution I saw online was that they would use a RPM activated window switch. You could buy it from Summit, or just like, I think Jag is another one you could buy. So all it does is that it will turn off the compressor at a range that we set it at, and the most recommended range is at 5,000. So that's what we hope, and let's hope it works. That's what the next thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when we wire this thing up, whenever you hit 5,000 RPM, this guy should turn off the compressor clutch.
Yep.
That's it for part 4 of the Vintage Air project. Something we really need is someone to help us out with an aftermarket idle up circuit. So what I'm talking about, when you turn the AC on, it'll drag, it'll have some parasitic loss on the engine, and you actually need to increase the idle speed so it doesn't stall out the engine. So I don't want to use the factory Corolla idle up for multiple reasons. So we need to figure out an aftermarket solution. If anyone can help us out, and leave something in the comments. If there's something in particular you want to see on the Vintage Air kit, or how I did something, let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, you guys. Cool. Let me make sure
Luna, come back!